Hello Mohawk, and welcome to the first day of spring. On this episode of MoCast, we talk with a prof who's sharing his story to help our students. We shine the spotlight on one of our students who's only one of two in Canada who's taking part in a high-tech international competition. And we take a road trip with our recruiters to Burlington and St. Catharines. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I watched a great and really powerful YouTube video put together by Prof. Sam Cook and her radio broadcasting students featuring Nick Petrella, and really a compelling story that I think more folks need to hear. So Nick, thanks for stepping in front of the camera. So you have been wrestling and battling with depression for a long time. How long have you had depression?
It's been as long as I can remember. One of the things about it that I've learned is once you turn 30, males specifically, our brain has matured fully. So, I'm 34 now. For the last 5 years, it's been a lot worse than it was previously. So it's the last five to 7 years have been difficult, but as long as I can remember, I've experienced it.
Right, and you were saying earlier that sort of attribute some of that to your hockey playing days, concussion times.
Yeah, and I mean that's not something that we could confirm, until testing is done. But it's the idea behind it is that with as many concussions as I've had, is that we think that it's led to a lot of brain damage and over time it's just constantly degrading and leads to deterioration of your brain.
Okay. So you started talking with students about your battle with depression. What prompted you to do that?
It was an opportunity. I've been going to therapy quite frequently for the last few years specifically, and what I started to realize is the more that I talked about it, the better I felt, and it was kind of a relief not to hide it anymore. And it was also it was an opportunity because in our health and fitness program we do talk about mental health, and it was an opportunity for the students to see firsthand that it doesn't have to be as negative as it's viewed in a lot of cultures in a lot of North America, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that there is an opportunity to overcome it, or at least learn how to deal with it and cope with it, and live a normal lifestyle.
Yeah. What's been the reaction from students when you've been talking with them and sharing your story?
A lot of students are surprised. They never would have guessed me specifically.
I would put myself in that camp.
And I hear that a lot. And after talking with them, I feel like there's a lot more compassion, not just towards me, but just to each other in general. And there's a bit more of an understanding. I see a lot more students just talking to people in hallways and things that they would never do, just saying hi, or even, asking people why, they might not be having the best day or why they might be down. And that's what it's all about, because, and this is something that I talk about in all of my talks, is that, it's just a simple hello, or even a simple text message, or a simple how are you, could really turn somebody's day around, and ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, could save a life here and there too. And it's really just simple, human compassion.
So the response from students has been great.
Yeah.
What's it been like from your colleagues?
The same. I mean, I've always had a lot of support from the people that knew, and I've received some very nice messages and emails from people that I would never have thought to hear from. So, it's been great. And they're very supportive with me continuing to step forward and share my story, and continue to make it much more public than it ever has been, which is exactly what I was hoping. I mean, there is the fear that by letting people in on your secret that, they're going to view you negatively, or, it could even impact your job or your workplace, but I've had nothing but positive reactions. So.
Okay, so if there's a student out there or faculty or staff member who is struggling, one piece of advice for those folks.
Most importantly, you're not alone, and and that's part of what depression is. In most cases, you feel like you're the only person on the world or in the world that feels that way. The biggest piece of advice is that you're not alone, and there's 1 in 3 people will experience it in their lifetime in Canada. So you're walking down the hall and you're feeling helpless and hopeless and lost, and there's somebody walking past you that has those same feelings, and it's not. There's nothing wrong with talking, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help, and there's confidentiality, and there's a lot of people on campus that you can reach out to with no judgment at all.
Yeah. So IBM, they run every year they run a Master the Mainframe global competition. This year, more than 20,000 students started. There are just 43 students left standing. There's only 2 students in Canada, and Mohawk College has one of those 2 students, Christopher McMaster. Christopher, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Need to, first of all, just get something straight. With a name like McMaster, why did you choose Mohawk?
They have a great software development program here. It's very hands-on, and I've been very happy with it.
Okay, so this competition, this is heavy-duty competition. Like I said, 20,000 students, only 43 made it to this point, so that final leg. When did you start working on it, and what exactly you're doing in the competition?
Well, I started working on it in October, and it finished up in December. And basically what it was just mainframes. They do transactions for banks, they do iTunes, anything where there's a large amount of data, there's mainframes.
So you've been working on this competition since October. Early next month in April, you'll be heading off to New York City. What will you be doing there?
Well, the competition involves students from around the world, and I'll be developing mainframe software from scratch.
Okay, no pressure. How much time do you have to do that?
It should only be about 3-4 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you prep for something like that?
Well, just studying the software, studying the code, just beginning early and preparing myself now.
And plans for life after Mohawk? Does it involve working for IBM? It could.
Oh, it definitely could. I'd like to get into security, financial security, something like that. Working with large amounts of data and mainframes would be great for that.
Yeah, so you could be the guy who prevents my debit or Visa card from being hacked. Is that you?
Hopefully.
All right. Well, listen, hey, best of luck in the competition. Congratulations for making this far, from 20,000 down to 43. Only one and two in Canada. That's awesome. So best of luck in New York City.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we are outside a grade 10 careers class. They are waiting for you, Cherish. And we are with Cherish Gibson, who's a recruiter. How are you doing, Cherish?
Fantastic.
Okay, so for people who don't know what recruiters do, let's take you, for example. In a typical week, how many schools are you visiting?
Well, that really depends on the time of year. We have peak seasons, and from September to November is a really busy season for us. We're seeing students and trying to get them to apply to Mohawk College. So at that time of year, I'd say probably I would see anywhere from 15 to 18 high schools a week. At this time of year, we're trying to get them to confirm to coming to Mohawk College. So it isn't as busy of a season for us. Of course, it's still very important, but we are focusing more on presentations and one-on-ones. So we're seeing anywhere from, I'd say, 8 to 10 high schools a week.
Going into a grade 10 careers class, what do you talk about in that class?
Lots of fun stuff. We actually play games, we give away prizes. We really talk about the pathways for them and the career opportunities. We start to get them to think about what the admission process is and what classes they need to be taking in high school in order to get into our programs.
Okay. So you're part of a bigger team, so it's not just you recruiting. How many folks at Mohawk College are doing recruiting?
Okay, well, there's a total of 7 recruiters at Mohawk College. So we have, each of us looks after a particular region. So we have about 4 mainstream recruiters, we have 2 college and motion recruiters, and we have an Aboriginal recruiter. So each of us is responsible for a region, a territory across Ontario. So for example, I look after the Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, Grand Erie, and Halton Norfolk schools.
Okay, how many schools would that be?
That would be the magic number of 48 high schools.
Okay, so while Cherish is talking to the grade 10 students in the career class, we are joined by Leah McCann. Leah is the guidance counselor here at Lester B. Pearson. How are you, Leah?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Okay, never better. I'm sort of bringing back memories, fond memories of my high school days. So very quickly, I always had the perception that when recruiters come in, they're doing a sales pitch. But here, at least Lester B. Pearson, that's not the case. When colleges and universities come through your doors, what are you doing with them?
We're doing a lot more education. We still do the traditional sales pitch, but we have them come in. So right now, Cherish is working with our grade 10 students. We've had her come in and speak with some of our grade 12s who weren't sure where they were headed. We also have her come in on parent-teacher interview nights so that she can give that information to the parents, as well as universities are present as well. Yeah. We do field trips. So that last semester we did a field trip to Mohawk and McMaster so that students could compare and contrast similar programs at both destinations.
Okay, did we make a good first impression?
Yes, you did.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, you did.
That's good. There's no gift shop, but as long as they had a good tour. There's a lot riding on these students. Like, they have really big decisions to make, and as a guidance counselor, you probably have them come through your door all the time. Is there one common question that they're all grappling with?
They're worried about not making the right choice. So there's so many opportunities out there. What if they don't like it? So we're really trying to get them to experience things and realize that there is no wrong step. They're just on their own individual pathway.
Okay, so now you have Cherish and Mohawk College come through your doors fairly often. What value do they bring to your school?
I think they bring authenticity. They allow students to actually speak with somebody who's there, rather than just hearing it from us. Often we're kind of like the parents, maybe not knowing.
Nobody listens to mom and dad.
Exactly. So after 4 years, they kind of get that same feeling. It's really great for them to hear what it's really like, rather than us telling them, because we're a few years out of that system as well.
Okay, so here we are at Eden Secondary in lovely St. Catharines, and you are?
Elizabeth Fraser.
Okay, and what do you teach?
I teach careers and academic English.
Okay, so when I went to high school many years ago, there was no careers class. What do the students learn in careers class?
Well, I say there's only two parts to the course. One, figure out what you're good at, and two, who's going to pay you to do it.
What's the value of having recruiters come into your class?
Well, the whole point is kids really don't only half listen to their parents and teachers. So when you have someone from the outside coming in going like, whoa, this is what's going on in the world out there, maybe you should pay attention. It makes a big input. And at the end of the semester, I have them fill out a form saying the 5 most significant things they've learned. And often it's tied in with what speakers have brought into the classroom.
That's good. So is there if you had to say of all the questions and that the students have about life after high school, is there one that tops the list?
Well, the challenge is to make them think about it. They're in their own little world and they're not really thinking it.
I'd like to go back to that world sometimes.
They think this is the whole world, and it really makes them. And that's one of the things they put on the form at the end of the semester as well. That it started to make them think about where they're going and how they're going to get there.
So have you talked to students about who's planning to go to university, who's planning to go to college yet? Have you had to?
Actually, just last year was the first year at Eden that more of our graduates went to college than university. And a lot of them were academic students as well. I think they're recognizing that that's where the training is that will get them jobs.
Now we're here with recruiter Jamie Arcolio. Jamie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Jay. How are you?
Never better. Okay, you just finished a careers class, grade 10 students. How many students do you talk to in a year? Like, how many schools are you covering?
I cover about 38 schools in the Niagara and Hamilton regions.
Okay, so you're on the road a lot.
Yes, a lot.
Okay, so when you talk to these students, is there like a recurring question that they have about post-secondary education?
Well, we got quite a few. The top questions I would say would be, what is Mohawk known for? What sort of financial assistance can you provide us? What are the different articulation agreements that you have with universities? And also, what are the admission requirements for your programs? I get a lot of that.
Amy, so you've been in recruitment now for 9 years. What do you enjoy most about the job?
I really enjoy educating high school students and prospective students in general on the importance of post-secondary education and promoting Mohawk College's programs and the awesome supports that we have to service our students.
Right. So Jamie, if there's a student or a parent who's thinking, why should I choose Mohawk? What would you say to them?
Well, we are one of the top Ontario colleges, and we provide a great amount of experiential learning for students. We have great living labs for students, so we get that they'll get that hands-on experience as well as that theoretical base. We have great support staff, great services in place that will help our students succeed throughout their studies at Mohawk, and we have great professors as well too.
Sorry, Arcolio.
Arcolio.
Arcola. Is it Arcola? No?
I know we're going to
Arcolio. Oh, bloody hell. Arcolio.
Arcolio.
All right, Jamie Arcolio. I could do this.
Yes.